I got you.
All right, creatures of the night. Welcome to Talking Taker, episode 206 of our encyclopedic exploration, digging up the career of the greatest professional wrestling character of all time, The Undertaker. My name is Alex Dorio. I want to thank you for joining us for yet another round of Dead Man Talking. And I want to introduce you and bring in my co-host for all these 206 episodes, my wrestling buddy, my tag team partner, my fellow member of the Pod Street crew. He is the key master himself, Mr. Travis White. Travis. I need you to pull out the key because we are going to get in our time traveling hearse. We're going to open up the keypad. And we're not going to drive into the past. We're not going to drive into the future. We're going to drive into an alternate universe right here, Travis, because we're going to shove The Undertaker through the forbidden door.
Door. Yeah. We are going to shove him through the forbidden door and see what happens on the other side. You know, everything is multiverse, extended universe, parallel universe.
That's right.
Why not jump on board? You know, and we've already had an episode where we talked about like dream opponents that didn't happen and stuff like that. This is a little different. We talked about, you know, the corporate ministry or the draft in the
fantasy
draft.
Great
Episode. This is going to be a little different than that. But just
we don't have to go into all the rules and explanation here. But tell us a little bit. This was kind of your idea, So tell us a little bit about what people are going to be in store for here.
Yeah, so after, you know, AEW and New Japan did that Forbidden Door pay-per-view, which, again, kudos to Tony Khan for pulling that off and New Japan for working together and making that happen. And it wasn't 100% AEW guys won. That's where egos get in place when it comes to, you know, trying to cross which brands and who's going to work with who. But I thought it was a great concept. Some of the matches were kind of thrown together. But anyway, I just like – Forbidden Door, that's cool. So I thought, you know, this was back in May. I was like, well, what if we did like a Forbidden Door one? Like, what if Vince and Tony and Jado and Gato and, you know, whoever's running TNA, I don't know who's running them anymore. They changes every 6 weeks. But whoever's running them, what if they could all just get together and do like a Forbidden Door type thing? Like, but specifically for Undertaker. Like, Taker's going to come out for 1 year. And we're going to just make him he's a special attraction. You know, Vince loves a special attraction. So not going to be a whole pay-per-view of these matches, but just Taker's last ride through the Forbidden Door. You know, like let's work together and give him some dream opponents. So, yeah, we'll go into more detail later. But that's kind of where it came from. Just who would I like to see Taker up against that's not in WWE?
Yeah.
I could go all day about WWE guys, but who do I think is at an elite level? I'd love to see that matchup, you know, with him.
So for sure, an experimental episode, a fantasy episode here for us. But, you know, that's kind of what we're doing here in this second life of Talking Taker. You know, we're revisiting some classic matches, talking about some moments we missed, and we're doing some fantasy concept stuff here. So this will be different. This will be interesting. I hope we've sold you on that pitch, and you'll be excited to join us and maybe get your brain percolating and thinking about that a little bit. You know, this whole fantasy or Forbidden Door concept has kind of gotten... it's become a wrestling buzzword over the past couple years. This whole idea of crossing between promotions, really like with New Japan and AEW and that sort of thing. But it's the sort of thing that's gone on in wrestling, really, you know, for as long as wrestling's been around. There's been the territories in wrestling. You know, we grew up, WCW would have New Japan stuff on their show, Japanese wrestlers. They did a Starrcade 95, I think it was with New Japan. WWF had Japanese guys, you know, in their Royal Rumble before. They did cross-promotional shows. Oh, well, yeah, they had AAA stuff. Yeah, well, there's that. Yep. Yeah. So there's that.
We had When Worlds Collide, you know, that was another one.
Yeah. Do you remember when Christian went over from WWE to TNA for one night only, so they could have Ric Flair be at the Hall of Fame that year? I mean, there's stuff's gone on in wrestling forever before the whole Forbidden Door term even existed. But it is always exciting as a fan because you think these promotions are enemies and there's no way they can work together and make something like this work. And then when they cross over, it's like, you know, when your favorite like when one superhero crosses over into another superhero movie that you totally didn't expect to be there, or something like that.
Yeah, exactly. Which is always cool for the fans. It's fan service. It's fun. This is a total fan service thing. If
100%.
Vince, again, this was back when Vince was still at the helm. I came up with this concept, and so could Vince put his pride aside to make this happen as a fan service thing? Because he always says he listens to the fans, but we know that sometimes he did. But bringing
maybe Hunter
Taker,
can do it.
Yeah, well, maybe so. But if you're gonna have one guy that's gonna draw fans as an attraction to that Forbidden Door, it's gonna be Taker. I mean, it's gonna be him. So he's the biggest guy you got going. I mean, this year I wouldn't put it past anything this year because Stone Cold main event in WrestleMania.
Nope.
And so I just don't even know. And just all the other things we can't even get into, the rise and fall of certain people, and just the crazy year we've had. It's just insane. So.
Anything can happen in the World Wrestling Federation.
Exactly.
Oh, well.
What a maneuver.
Well, we're going to talk about that. We're going to explain our rules and our parameters for that there, in the main event, the main portion of our show. But since we are coming to you once a month now here on the podcast, we want to talk about all the news and notes involving The Undertaker. He may be retired, but over the past 30 days, there have been plenty of Undertaker sightings. So let's get into this month's Undertaker sightings. And of course, we got a sponsor this month, Travis. A very special sponsor. This is very cool, man. This month we are sponsored by Travis White, The Vinyl. This is real, folks. The vinyl album, newly released by Travis White. 1 of 6 limited edition right now, man. I can't believe I'm holding this. I always used to love growing up watching David Letterman, and he'd introduce the musical guests and hold up the vinyl, which was cool when we were kids because vinyl was dead back then.
Yeah.
But I always thought it was funny that he had a new vinyl record of these artists. So now I'm holding up one of yours here on our podcast, man. Tell us a little bit about how this came to be.
That's a dream come true. In my music, I've kind of accomplished a goal and moved the goalpost a little bit, and accomplished another one and moved the goalpost a little bit and accomplished another one. So that was one that I know you have, brought it up. The company I got that from, you introduced me to them, but it was an expensive endeavor, but it was fun. And it was a lot of fun to put together because with a vinyl, you only have a limited amount of space on each side of the vinyl on the record. So anyway, it was a fun little experiment to put together my songs and cut down and this and that and the other and piece it together. So it's not anything new songs, but it's a new track listing, and it's just parts and pieces from all my stuff. And I had the minimum order was 6. I got 6, 1 for me, sent 1 to you, 1 to the 3 girls who have sung with me. Kylie, Keely, and Sadie are on there. I thought it'd be cool for them to have vinyl. Didn't think it'd mean a hill of beans to them. They absolutely were flattered. It meant the world to them. And then I auctioned one off, and my dad paid $200 for it. And it was awesome.
Well, it is limited edition now, but rumor has it there may be more coming in the future.
Hypothetically, we may be able to have those available to the public, and you can just order it on demand, and they'll cut it and ship it right to you. We'll see if you want one.
Well, stay tuned, folks. It may be a hot new Christmas item under the tree, the Travis White vinyl record. And, of course, everybody can check your music out on all the streaming platforms as well. All the same tunes you can hear on vinyl. But there's just something about vinyl, man. So,
it's just fun. It's really cool. So.
Well, thanks for sponsoring the Undertaker sighting segment, as usual.
Absolutely.
A couple things. I'll start with some follow-up to last month's episode. Of course, our October episode, we covered the 20th anniversary of the infamous No Mercy 2002 Hell in a Cell match between Undertaker and Brock Lesnar. And we talked a bit about the build-up to the match. And one of the people involved in that build-up was a young Matt Hardy. And I'm sure you saw this. It was floating around the internet. But on Matt Hardy's podcast, they did a tribute to 30 years of his career, and Undertaker sent a little cameo paying tribute to Matt Hardy for 30 years of his in-ring career.
Yeah, it's pretty cool, man. And just when someone of that caliber cares enough to send the message to Matt, that means a lot. Because, everyone thinks of Jeff and Taker as the ones that had the more high-profile matches. But, yeah, Matt played quite a pivotal role in some of that stuff with Brock Lesnar in 2002. So, and matches against the Hardys and the Bros Destruction. So, yeah, very cool to have Taker on there, given his paying his respects to Matt Hardy and his 30 years. It's crazy that he's been in there for 30 years. So,
Oh yeah, you mean
and Jeff.
we've seen Undertaker do a few things like this for certain guys, but he certainly doesn't do it for everybody.
No.
So for a guy like Matt Hardy, like you said, that's a huge sign of respect, and you saw it in his eyes, like he was kind of surprised when he saw Undertaker pop up on there, and you just think about the first time they probably met. Like he was just like a teenager doing jobs on Monday Night Raw, and to go on to become this legit. He could be a Hall of Famer by himself. You can take the Hardy Boys out of it. You could put Matt Hardy in the Hall of Fame for his solo career, and you just never would have thought that back then.
No, not at all. Not when he's jobbing to whoever, TL Hopper on Raw in 94-7 or 96 or 7, whatever it was. So.
That's right. And then another follow-up, we spent a good chunk of last month's episode talking about Tracy, the Undertaker's mistress, his affair that was coerced by Paul Heyman to corrupt him during this rivalry. Well, I just happened to stumble on Instagram, somebody sharing some quotes from the new book by Brian Gewirtz. He's got a new book out talking about his run with the company, and he actually talked about this storyline in there.
Really?
Yeah. I've been meaning to pick up this book because I think it'd be super interesting. I'm sure there's some great Taker stories we could talk about in there. But I wanted to share this quote in there from that story. He's writing about this angle and how it coincided with the Katie Vick angle as well. He says, he was tasked with embedding a shocking soap opera style twist into the Undertaker and Brock Lesnar's feud. And so Heyman and Brock Lesnar introduced the world to Tracy, a woman who claimed to have had a 3-month affair with the Undertaker while he was married. She slapped him and even called him Mark. 18 years before doing that on TV was cool. The audience did not go for this one either, and it's mainly forgotten now. Having a character simulate sex with a corpse dressed in a cheerleader outfit tends to overshadow whatever other stories you have going on. By the time we got to the next pay-per-view, Vince was ready to move on to the next thing. Gewirtz says he also pitched the idea of kicking off the No Mercy pay-per-view with a backstage segment with the Brothers of Destruction. To signal to the audience we had recognized the error of our ways and we're going to try to lighten up, I pitched a quick cold open where Undertaker is sitting down, looking forlorn in his locker room when he's joined by Kane. Kane takes a breath and simply says, "So, how was your week?" So we have Brian Gewirtz to credit for that awesome. Legendary moment.
Oh, he's a genius then. That's great. Yeah. He's responsible for a lot of great Attitude Era moments, but that is one I did not know, so that's awesome. Yeah. I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been wanting to listen to that audiobook, but I don't know if it'll read well. So, I mean, it'll listen. I'm going to have to read it instead. It seems like it's going to be awkward to listen to, but I might have to pick it up and read it.
It's gotten some good reviews. I definitely want to check it out for sure.
Yeah.
Once either of us do, I'm sure we'll have some Undertaker content to share on here as well. Speaking of Instagram, did you happen to see The Undertaker and Michelle McCool doing this viral tortilla slap fight on Instagram?
I did. And I had to go like, what was that? Because Taker slapping his wife in the face with a tortilla is not something I had on my 2022 bingo card. So
you said 2022 was crazy.
I did, and it's getting crazier. Yeah, if you had asked me in 2017 when we began this, in 5 years, are you going to be talking about Undertaker slapping his wife in the face with a tortilla? I just thought you were talking about something awful. But no, it's legitimately what's happening. So, on Instagram.
And now, is this something that your kids are into? I didn't know this was a trend.
We've done it at church. We did it months ago.
Oh, yeah?
I mean, like, I'm talking 6-7 months ago at church. Yeah.
Okay.
With the youth group. So,
right.
yeah, it's kind of up and down, I think. But, yeah, I think it's getting real big on TikTok and Instagram. So,
did you compete?
I have not competed.
Oh, okay. All right. Too bad.
I would just slap him across the chest and go, woo!
That's a good idea.
Yeah.
Tortilla, knife edge chop.
Yeah. Yeah, great.
Some other news. We don't always mention like all the Undertaker merchandise or memorabilia, but I did want to point this one out because I just think you never would have thought something like this, but it's pretty dang cool. Hallmark has released an official Undertaker ornament for 2022 that you can get on their website and at the Hallmark stores and everything. So there's actually two. There's one that's available at Walmart that's a little bit cheaper and smaller, and then there's like a deluxe one that's on the Hallmark website. But man, that's like a legit pop culture like milestone to like have an official Hallmark Christmas ornament. Yeah, not just like a WWE one they sell in their shop.
Exactly. One that's licensed through Hallmark. Like that's a pretty big deal. I know it's not a big deal nowadays, maybe, but it is a big deal, you know?
Yeah.
Like it's like being on the cover of TV Guide was back in the day. Like it's hard to explain to somebody now how big of a deal that was, you know, or on the cover of Rolling Stone or something. Because now celebrities are everywhere. But like that's cool, man. He has his own Hallmark license like ornament. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Because you and I both have some that are just kind of like little weird ones, like just random little ornaments and stuff. But this one's like legit. So.
I apparently have too many because my wife wants me to get a second tree for my tchotchke ornaments.
Undertaker tree.
Yeah. That's what she says. So we'll see about that. Speaking of holidays, I might. Yeah. Speaking of holidays, I just want to remind everybody that this is coming out November 1st, but you can still celebrate Halloween a day late. Don't sleep on Escape the Undertaker. Still available on Netflix. You know, it was the Halloween movie to see last year to experience the choose your own adventure thing. Of course, we had a big 4-way episode with Randy Turco, St. Ridley, where we went through all the different options on there. But check it out. I'm going to try to watch it again before Halloween because I hadn't watched it since then, and it was just so much fun. I'm going to try to do the adventure again if I have some time here. So. It's good stuff.
CYOA. Choose your own adventure.
Yeah. And then finally, of course, Undertaker is continuing to do the One Dead Man show, taking it across the country to all the different pay-per-views that WWE is doing. I believe there's one booked for Survivor Series weekend coming up.
Where is that at?
That is in... Yep, I can also not remember. But I did find a recap online of the Extreme Rules weekend One Dead Man show from Philadelphia. This is coming from ProWrestling.net, and a reader named Felix Yellen sent it in there. If you're listening, Felix, I'm stealing this off of their website. So there you go. But yeah, it's cool to actually get some perspective. Of course, I shared what it was like at the very first one, and there has not been a lot of content coming out about what it's been like to be at the other one, so it's cool to see this perspective on it. Similar deal set up with the 2 chairs on stage, a couple of shot glasses of Jack Daniels on the stage, everybody having to have their phones locked up again, and he kind of did a similar opening, it sounds like, talked about... getting on social media and people saying their childhood was dead back then. Tells a story about Paul Bearer, because Paul Bearer ribbed him with the cucumber. So, you know, he drove around one time and made him pee his pants. He talked about Midian calling him whenever Midian gets high. But he said, the only 2 people who call me after 9 p.m. is Dennis Knight when he's high or Michael Hayes when he's drunk, calling him to come back for one more match. And apparently...
Probably not wrong.
Apparently, Midian actually called him during the show, and Taker picked up and put him on the microphone.
Way. That's amazing.
Midian said that he got a present in the mail from The Godfather that he was enjoying. And he also said, Midian said that he was the only one out of the BSK to vote for Hillary and Biden. So take that as you will. Said that got loudly booed, and Taker said Tex just got canceled in Philadelphia. Someone, I guess they did the fan Q&A again. So someone asked about the craziest fan gift that Undertaker ever received. And he told a story about a crazy stalker girl in the mid-90s who gave him black roses and a perfume bottle filled with blood.
Yikes.
He said she inked his face on her left breast and continued to stalk him across the country, tackled Paul Bearer after jumping the barricade. And
oh, my word.
Don't know whatever happened to her, but she was trying to get him.
If you're listening, stop.
She might be. Who knows?
I'm just kidding. No. Come on and tell us about it.
Please. He said...
No, we don't need to see anything, though. We're fine.
He said his goal to keep kayfabe in public stemmed from seeing the Man in Black, Johnny Cash, one time wearing gray on an airplane. And he said that rocked his world to have that disconnect. He couldn't believe the Man in Black was wearing gray. So that always stuck in his mind and made him decide to, always be in black, always keep the gimmick alive. So that was pretty neat.
That's cool. Yeah. And Johnny Cash would do his theme song for WrestleMania 27.
Exactly. Go on to use that. And then this was kind of...
Not on the Peacock, though.
No, can't find it on Peacock. YouTube, though. Or in person, when we were there.
Yeah.
Told a story about partying with Paul Heyman in New York in 1989, the night before his first meeting with Vince, and how he tore the butt out of his pants while they were at the club. And he sat at the club the whole time, hiding his predicament. And then none other than Ralph Lauren sat next to him in the club and offered him some baby powder to loosen him up. And so, again, take that for what you will. Never heard that story before. Only in the 80s, man.
I've heard him talking about ripping his pants the night before he met Vince, but I never heard the rest of that.
And then we can use this to tie into what we're doing here. Someone asked him about AEW, and he said he wants AEW to succeed because competition is good and it makes things better. But he thinks AEW definitely needs to get its bleep together and find a locker room leader. Which this took place like a month ago, so think about what was going on in AEW a month ago. But he does hope they continue to grow and wishes them all the success in the world. So there you go, man. There's a little recap and look again. All of these Dead Man shows are going to be a little bit different. So if you're at the one in Survivor Series weekend, I think it's in Boston. I want to say.
Sure.
Yeah.
Tea Party. Yeah.
So hit us up. Give us your feedback. Give us a recap. Our DMs are open. We'd love to hear about all that. But man, that's all I got for Undertaker Signs. You got anything I missed?
Something popped in my head as you were talking, and I said, forget that, and I forgot it. So I'll think about it in a minute.
Fair enough.
I can't remember what it was. Oh, shoot. It was something we hadn't talked about. I was like, I need to make sure I say that. Oh, well. It'll come back to me.
Okay. All right.
Or not.
We'll leave it at that. Well, I do want to mention, we're talking about Undertaker through the Forbidden Door here before we get to, what we came here to do. That this idea of Undertaker going through a Forbidden Door, working in other promotions, is not unheard of. This would not be the first time it's ever happened. And we've talked about some of these on the show, but made a non-extensive list. I may have missed a couple things, but wanted to mention a few of them here. So back in 1992, in March of 92, the WWF had a working agreement with a company called SWS, Super World of Sports in Japan, and Undertaker worked a guy named Takashi Ishikawa. Not familiar with him, but he worked him, and they did a whole series of shows with WWF guys working with Japanese guys. Of course, we talked about that Japanese Royal Rumble. That was our first episode of 2022, and there was some mixed promotion. I believe that was All Japan who was with that one. I think so,
yeah.
And Taker actually had a tag team match on that show as well, teamed with Tenryu against Bam Bam Bigelow and Yokozuna. So there's an example of that. He did some stuff in the States as well. We talked about this in our Hidden Gems episode, but he faced his future brother, Unabomb, who would go on to become Kane in Smoky Mountain Wrestling in April of 1995. And then this one, man, this is like my dream episode, but the full match footage has never been found. It apparently does not exist. Full tape of it. That's one of those great lost wrestling tapes.
Yeah.
But The Undertaker and Tracy Smothers going up against New Jack and the Gangstas in Smoky Mountain Wrestling in 1995. And
I bet that was lost.
There is a Confederate flag involved in that match.
Yeah, it's the Gangstas. It's in Smoky Mountain Wrestling in the late 90s. Probably got canceled.
It's my dream Talking Taker episode to unearth that from the archives. But
yeah.
Of course, there's a very, very famous match, sort
Tracy Smothers. So good.
A very famous match of Undertaker against Jinsei Shinsaki, aka Hakushi, in 1997, October of 97,
Yeah.
in Michinoku Pro. In Japan, where Undertaker is managed by Bruce Pritchard, not Brother Love, but Bruce Pritchard, and it's just a spectacle of a match. He raises Hakushi from the dead. It's a crazy match to watch. You can find it on YouTube pretty easily. Definitely recommend checking that out. And then this one, it's borderline, but Undertaker and Kane teamed up in 2001 to face Leviathan and DDP for OVW. OVW was, sort of a developmental for WWE. I don't know if that's quite Forbidden Door, but it is him showing up in a different promotion, so that's always interesting. So this is not an unheard of concept, Travis.
Right. I know what I remember. I remembered. I remember what I was going to say.
Let's take it back.
So it's a little bit adjacent to this, but at Halloween Havoc, the NXT show just did.
Yes.
They had a casket match. Spin the wheel, make the deal. I had a casket match. Grayson Waller and Apollo Crews, and I watched it with my buddies live that night, and I was like, man, I don't know if I can remember a casket match in WWE that doesn't involve Taker or Kane. We've covered a lot of them here, so I was like, man, it's funny to see now that their careers are over. It's funny to see them continue to carry on that tradition. So, and it was actually a fun match. So, but anyway, we don't have to go through it, but it was just cool. I want to bring it up because Taker's one of his signature matches is still alive and kicking on Halloween Havoc in 2022. So that's awesome.
And didn't Grayson Waller do a little Undertaker taunt
Grayson
in the match?
Waller did multiple ones. He did the sit up.
Oh,
and,
okay.
Laughed, and he set up, and then Apollo set up, kind of like Brock and Taker did at that time. They both had them look at each other, and then Grayson Waller did the tongue out and the throat slash, and then went for a tombstone. Apollo reversed it and then hit a lung blower or something like that instead, but didn't do a tombstone. But so there was little homages, little mockery from Grayson Waller. Love that guy to Taker during the match. So I appreciate that too.
Yeah,
Taker's gone. There's no payoff for that, but I love it. It's great.
Nice. Well, you're right. There's no payoff to that, but in this fantasy world, there could be a payoff to seeing the Undertaker crossing through the Forbidden Door, taking on some of the greatest competitors outside of the WWE. So, Travis, why don't you run down the parameters that you came up with for us to have a little framework to work through here with this idea?
Yeah. So, first of all, just wanted to do something with Forbidden Door. So I just got this scenario in my head, like, okay, now Triple H is in charge. Things are a little different. He's a little more NXT fan friendly, kind of appeals to the hardcores too, and just he's a little more giving than Vince was on this kind of stuff. No disrespect to Vince, but I thought, okay, new guys in charge, new management, maybe old TK and Triple H and Jado and Gato and whoever's running Impact and EC3 from Control Your Narrative. Maybe they can all work together. I'm kidding. Maybe they could work together and say, hey, look, I got this idea. We're going to bring Taker out in 2023. This is he's going to come out of retirement, because he didn't get to have that last, 2020 was his last match, but it was a 2-weight cup. He had the match against AJ, but not in the ring, So let's assume everything lines up. Triple H and TK are Khan is in with this. Everybody else is in with this. We're going to bring Taker out. Let's give him against your best. It's kind of a fan service match. It's not maybe, but it's going to be 5 pay-per-views. We're going to do Royal Rumble. We're going to do WrestleMania. We're going to do the SummerSlam, and then probably Crown Jewel usually in between that and then end with the Survivor Series. So 5 matches, 2023. We'll assume Taker has been taking care of himself, wrestling in that ring. He's in shape. He's not quite a circus. He's not doing it, just once a year. He's going to come out for 5 a year. He's ready to go. So just if all things align, what could we do? What could we work out between all the companies? Taker doesn't have to win all these. I don't care. But it's just what could we do? Who would we like to see him come out of retirement for to have these 5 matches in this 1 year? That was kind of what I presented to you. So here we go.
Okay, so you and I are both going to book a fantasy 5-match year, 2023. These 5 shows, like you said, Royal Rumble, WrestleMania, SummerSlam, Crown Jewel, and Survivor Series. We're each going to book one match each for each of these shows. Who would we put the Undertaker up against? Against the Forbidden Door. So no WWE guys, no NXT guys are allowed here. So it can be anybody from any other company. And like you said, we've done some other fantasy episodes, but those were kind of going through the past or other things like that.
Like,
this
Taker
is
at his prime versus this guy. This is legit 2023 Taker.
This is 2023 Taker. So you got to take both of those things into consideration. Yes. But like you said, Taker's been off for it'll be 3 years at that point in 2023, which is hard to believe. Undertaker has not wrestled a match in almost 3 years. That's crazy. So we're assuming all the injuries are healed up. He's been in the gym. He's still mid-50s, but, so is Sting. And we see Sting out there.
He's in his 60s,
putting on some shows, putting on some fun matches.
Years.
Exactly. So, we're talking a dream scenario. Everything goes well. He stays healthy, and he's in the best shape he can be for the current age he's at. What sort of matches could work in that realm, in that scenario? So, Travis, this was your idea, your brainchild. So why don't you lead us off and tell us how you would start the year of the Forbidden Door with The Undertaker? What would his Royal Rumble 2023 match look like?
2023 Royal Rumble, I've got Taker coming out of retirement, started off hot with the best bout machine, Kenny Omega.
Oh, okay.
Because, again, let's think about Taker and Shawn, Taker and Brett, Taker and AJ, if they'd have had an actual proper in-ring match, just what it could have been, And so Kenny Omega, he's never got to shine. He's in AEW, and no disrespect, but it's not the WWE. So getting him on that show too, bigger spotlight on him, it'll help his career too. But so have Kenny Omega and Taker, and I just think back to Royal Rumble, was it 96 when Shawn and but Brett and him, was that Brett and Taker? Anyway, one Royal Rumble match.
Yeah, 96.
Yeah, 96.
Yep.
It's just a great match. It's a great wrestling match. And I could think, Kenny could go and wrestle with Taker, and he'd be able to just make him shine. He'd bump and feed like he needs to just get Taker. The first match be just blow the roof off the place.
I like that idea, man. Helps
knock the Forbidden Door off the hinges.
That's right. Gets Undertaker's confidence up. It builds up this whole idea of what can be possible here. And, man, it seemed like it would probably be impossible a few years ago because Kenny was one of the EVPs, the guy who started AEW. Now, it doesn't seem that strange that he could show up in WWE. And I honestly think it could be possibly a good career move for him. Not him under Vince, but him under Triple H. I think Triple H would get Kenny Omega and could use him really, really well in WWE.
Just like when AJ came in.
Yeah.
That was Triple H's doing.
He's a guy who could shine and who could do all the character stuff, not just the in-ring stuff. So it'd be fun to see those some promo battles. See what kind of entrance Kenny Omega would come up with. He's always got something big up his sleeve. Okay. All right. I'm into that. I also want to start off the year hot, coming into the Royal Rumble, my fantasy year here. So I'm also going to go with one of AEW's biggest stars, a guy who's been there since day one. And this was one I wasn't going to go with originally, but I just kept going back to it because I think the promos alone could be just incredible. And this is a guy who could stand up to The Undertaker, who would not back down from him in his promos, but then, could also show a little bit of that fear and a little bit of that cowardice too when it came down to it. I think it's a rivalry that could remind me a bit of CM Punk and Undertaker's from 2013 WrestleMania. I'm talking about probably the hottest guy in wrestling right now, Maxwell Jacob Friedman, MJF. I'd book him against the Undertaker to start off the Royal Rumble. For all the reasons I just said. Yeah.
No, that would be great. I actually don't have him on my list at all, but I did expect him to come up today. So I think that's cool. The promos themselves will be great. Max cuts like a knife, man. Just
exactly.
It'd be fun.
Yeah,
it'd be fun to see the things he'd say, and then Taker's got to go over on him in that match. Again, Kenny.
Yes.
I don't know. I don't know who goes over. It doesn't matter to me. But that match, MJF's going to get his butt handed to him at the end of it. He can play the coward heel, but he can still wrestle. He's a great character. You don't have to go in there like a Kenny Omega and put on a great match with Taker. You can do great character work, and MJF's got that in the bag. So that's awesome.
That's a feud I'd like to see, go on. Like if we weren't booking, trying to have 5 different matches here, that's one you could do for 4 or 5 pay-per-views, like an Edge or a Randy Orton or something like that, because you could give him a couple of wins there and build him up, and then get that comeuppance, that sweet comeuppance that he deserves. Because nobody plays a heel like him today. Yeah. So a true heel. So man, that's why I put that on my list. That's my number 1.
Yeah, that's good. That's Royal Rumble. All right, moving on to WrestleMania, I guess. WrestleMania 20, Philadelphia. WrestleMania Philadelphia.
Okay.
I guess. Is that where it is? Or is it? No, it's in SoFi. It's in SoFi.
Yeah, it's Hollywood.
LA. Yeah. The next year is Philadelphia. So, WrestleMania Hollywood. Again, WrestleMania goes Hollywood. Take it back to a guy who is just shouldn't be doing what he's doing right now. And he is just incredible. And this is a match we never got and we should have gotten. And that's WrestleMania Undertaker versus Sting.
Woo!
I want to see it. But Sting is in his 60s. Taker's in his 50s.
That's right.
This is a no DQ match. Like Taker and Triple H. So they can bring all the bells and whistles out, jump to a table, not worry about count outs, kind of like Triple H and Taker have had, the last few times they had those matches together. So just not worry about it. A straight wrestling match. I don't want to see these two guys go, wrist lock for wrist lock in the ring. I want to see the build up, the character work, the promos, the video packages, the history of both of them, their rises in the alternate companies, versus now in AEW, but just Sting is he's doing amazing things right now at his age, and it's crazy. He's doing them consistently, and watching Taker sit up and watching Sting, not no sell the chops and be just like that. It's so cool, and it'd be so great in front of that giant stadium.
Yeah, and these two guys don't have to do a lot of moves or take a lot of bumps to get that crowd over.
I think Rock Hogan.
Yeah, exactly. And especially with a 2-night WrestleMania, that could main event.
That could main event
one night, for sure, because it's the match. We've talked about it, so many times on here. It's the match everyone always craved, always wanted. Everyone except for Randy Turco. He always says he's the one who didn't really care about that match. But especially now, like at their ages, after all they've been through in the business, it's not just WWE versus WCW anymore. It's just two iconic guys and legends giving it all. It could be Sting's farewell. He could
Sting could win it.
He could lose and just leave his boots in the ring. You take your pick either way. It could be really, really, really special. And that match, I think that deserves WrestleMania right there.
That I kind of wanted to finish the year off with that because that's my ultimate dream. But I was like, no, that's the Mania match for this year. Yeah. That's got to be Mania.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate that, and I love that. I went a little different direction with how I thought about WrestleMania, because Undertaker's he's done it all at WrestleMania.
Yeah.
He's faced all the legends. Your
Johnny Gonzalez, King Kong,
Big Show,
A-Train,
Triple H, Shawn Michaels, CM Punk, Roman Reigns, Randy Orton, Ric Flair, all of Evolution, Batista. You know what I mean. He's won titles at WrestleMania, had casket matches, Hell in a Cell matches, Edge, sure. One thing he never did at WrestleMania, and it's the one thing that disappoints me. Not so much guys he faced at WrestleMania, but I always thought it would have been really, really cool, and I'm shocked it never happened, that we never got a Brothers of Destruction tag team match at WrestleMania. So, with the Forbidden Door open, I'm going to make that happen at WrestleMania.
Yes, I love it.
So I'm not necessarily thinking of this as a main event match like you are, but it's still a big match. It's still a WrestleMania match, still a marquee match. We're still getting Undertaker at WrestleMania, but Undertaker and Kane. So he's going to bring his brother back as well.
Love that.
We're going to finally get the Brothers of Destruction at WrestleMania. And this is a match you may not expect. I don't know if everybody would expect, but if you're going to do the Brothers of Destruction, a tag team match at WrestleMania, I want it to be against the best tag team in the world. I want it to be against FTR at WrestleMania, against the Brothers of Destruction. And you might think, okay, Kane and Undertaker, they're going to dwarf over Dax Harwood and Cash Wheeler. I don't care. Those guys will make it work.
Yeah.
And in my fantasy universe, Undertaker and Kane are going to sell for them. And those two guys are going to pull an epic match out of Undertaker and Kane as well. So that may sound like it's coming out of left field, but I want to see the best tag team in the world. I love every time those guys are in the ring against whoever. I want them to pull a great match on Undertaker and Kane.
It'd be like wrestling two Bret Harts, man. Like they he never had a bad match with Bret, and like there's two of them right there. I'm not saying they're the same as Bret, but like they think that way when they're putting a match together, you know. And they're a perfect tag team. They know tag team wrestling better than almost anybody on the planet. They're great at it, and yeah, they would make it old school. Get the heat, cut the ring in half, and they'd bump and sell. It'd be awesome, dude. And you know what's really funny about this selection? When I had Sting as my Survivor Series match, I had that as my WrestleMania match.
You're kidding
the same
me.
thing. I'm not kidding.
No way.
But then once I moved Sting up there, I scratched him off my whole list. So
that was what I was really proud of. I didn't think you'd go there.
I had that same exact match.
That's awesome.
I was like, I want to get Brothers of Destruction at WrestleMania. It's so funny when you said that. That's awesome, man.
I'm
shocked.
That. Okay,
I love that.
All
That's
right.
great. Of course, I can say it now. You don't see my lip, but I'm saying like
no,
I really did. Like,
I believe you.
It was very funny. So that's a great call, man. I love that.
Okay, funny. All right, let's go to the SummerSlam.
All right, the SummerSlam, Mr. The SummerSlam. I got this match. These guys were in a 6-man tag together on SmackDown. Never got a proper feud.
Okay.
And this guy is the best in-ring talent that has walked the planet in a long time, and it's Bryan Danielson. And I know he's WWE guy. No, he's not. He's Bryan Danielson now. This is not the same Daniel Bryan that was the yes guy, the gimmicky. This is the dude that's headhunting. He's a babyface or a heel. He doesn't matter. He can headhunt you, cut you in half, break you down, and just the wrestling match it's going to be like Angle and Taker at No Way Out 06. You know, like it's going to be like that. Or him and Shawn, or him and Bret. I keep bringing Bret Hart's name, but like just watching. Think about Dan Bryan and Brock. It was phenomenal. And this would be very similar. Like Daniel Bryan is better than Kenny Omega, the best battle machine, but Daniel Bryan is the best in-ring performer right now in AEW for sure. And just having him get to have a signature SummerSlam match, because he left WWE as the main eventing WrestleMania, which is awesome. But just have one more signature match at the second biggest show of the year against the Dead Man. They never got a proper feud. They never got to be opponents. They just got to tag, on TV. So I think that would be phenomenal. And top it all off, I'm going submission match. Hell's Gate versus the LaBelle Lock.
Now that's a twist, right?
That's my twist. Because I didn't want to be just straight up. Because again, straight up, Taker is probably going to just crush Bryan Danielson. But add the twist in there, the promos leading up to it. Bryan Danielson, like, I know I can beat you. I know I can beat, just he can be the heel, Bryan Danielson, because he's great at it. And just, I want to challenge your Hell's Gate against my LaBelle. And just, it'd be great watching them go back and forth and chain wrestle. Be awesome. So yeah, submissions match at the SummerSlam.
That sold me on it right there. Like, I know it'd be a great match. Taker and Bryan Danielson. Excuse me. We're talking Bryan Danielson. You're right.
Yeah.
But that would be a fantastic match. He could have a good match with literally anybody. But to make it a submission match, to give him that edge, to let you think, okay, he really does have a chance here.
Is he going to make the old man Taker tap out?
Exactly. Yeah. Knowing Taker can't just rely on a power move on Tombstone or Last Ride or something like that. He's got to figure out a way to lock in the submission, and we know Bryan Danielson's the submission specialist and all of that. That really takes it over the top, gives it a new layer right there. Very good thinking. I like that.
Yeah. Something to give Danielson a chance.
My SummerSlam match for the 2023 Undertaker Forbidden Door is another one. Might be a little quirky. It might be a little weird. We've really fixated on AEW here. I wanted to get a little bit of New Japan here in my list. I don't follow New Japan a ton, to be honest. I'm not familiar with a lot of guys from Japan. But this guy, I have just he blows me away every time I see him in the ring. I love his storytelling. I love his character work. We've seen him in AEW once or twice, and he's a guy who is a bit older, and I think that would play off against Undertaker very well, and could just, probably wouldn't have many promos, but I think just like some facial expressions and things against each other across the ring. I'm talking about the murder grandpa Minoru Suzuki against the Undertaker at the SummerSlam. Might only be, maybe like 12 minutes or something. Undertaker's going over. But that's all right, man. Not every match that has to be a barn buster or barn burner. But man, I need to see those two guys against each other. It would make my life complete.
That's awesome. I love that idea. I thought you were going somebody else, but I love that idea even more than what I thought you were going with. So that's awesome. Yeah, murder grandpa, just laying it in, not taking his stiffest shot, taking his soup bone, and just just yelling back at him, and just that'd be great. And Taker yelling back at him just because Taker can do that. So that'd be fun to see.
Suzuki giving him some chops, and Undertaker having to shake that off and try to sell that. Like, come on, man.
That'd be fun.
Little strong style right there.
It could be 8, 10, 12 minutes.
It's not gonna be long.
No, just but that'd be fun, man. That'd be real fun.
If we're gonna do Forbidden Door, let's do it all the way. Let's get some something wild and bizarre like you never see out there. So that's my real wild card, is that SummerSlam match.
There you go. Well, hey, speaking of New Japan, that's what my call is for the Crown Jewel.
Okay.
So
all right.
Again, I thought about this specifically because I was focusing a lot on AEW. I didn't intend to. There's some guys we'll talk about after we're done with this, the guys I left off. But anyway, from other promotions and whatnot. But this guy. I thought Crown Jewel is usually like just a glorified house show, not worried about – it is about this. It is about spectacle. You got Brock Lesnar versus Bobby Lashley coming up at Crown Jewel. Brock Lesnar just came out of nowhere to come back to have this match. Like, they just do Logan Paul versus Roman Reigns. Doesn't make sense, but it does make sense because it's just a glorified bought house show, So like, and I'm fine with those. I'm fine with that because it is what it is. But like, so this one I thought I'm gonna throw New Japan in there. Put this guy on a pedestal, put this guy on a global stage in a different country. And this is a guy who has been carrying the flag for New Japan for a long time. Big guy, and that's Okada. I thought Okada versus Taker would be fun. He's a big dude that can hang with Taker, and he's good. And I think he's great at selling and storytelling in the ring. So that'll be fun just to see, again, not necessarily promos or whatnot, but you don't need much for Crown Jewel. So that's kind of why I pigeonholed that one into Crown Jewel, just because not worried about the build up as much as I am just saying, hey, this is for the fans. So, yeah.
I mean, that's another guy that,
the pageantry too. Like, think about him coming out and all the, the money falling, all like that entrance and Crown Jewel entrances, all those Saudi entrances are always great. So seeing that versus Taker's would be a really big spectacle. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No. Another guy I haven't seen a ton of, but I have seen some of, and I think that's a guy who could hold his own in the ring with Undertaker. I think he's known to do a tombstone in his matches as well. Yeah. So that would be fun to see a battle of the tombstones in there. And a guy who's like, he's is he the champion in New Japan? I know he has been the champion.
I have no idea
previously,
honestly.
But he's a guy who's a top guy there. And so you're bringing him in against the Undertaker.
He's their John Cena. I mean, after Tanahashi,
that's a good point.
He was, if Tanahashi was Hulk Hogan, Okada is John Cena.
There you go.
So he's the guy.
So to put him against the icon of the Undertaker, it makes all the sense in the world.
Yeah. It's like we finally got to see Cena. You got to see it. You were there. You're seeing Cena and Taker, at WrestleMania 34, wherever it was.
Yeah, 34. Yeah.
Anyway,
all right. Good choice. Good choice. All right. Mine is going to be similar to your SummerSlam. So it's you might consider him a WWE guy. But this is another guy who's been with AEW since day one. And he's a guy who I think has legitimately defined AEW. And I was going kind of back and forth on this, but I went with it because this is a guy who never faced Undertaker in a one-on-one match on pay-per-view. That's one of the great missed opportunities of their career together. And it was actually supposed to happen at a Saudi show for a hot minute, but it changed it. I'm talking about the Painmaker, Chris Jericho. I want to see 2023 Chris Jericho against the Undertaker, because I mean, we said it many times. Like, if we were to ever do a similar podcast, we could legitimately do it on Chris Jericho. He's had so many different layers to his career, and he's had like 3 or 4 different ones just in the past few years in AEW. He just continues to reinvent himself, redefine himself, continues to be awesome in the ring. He can do the Judas entrance. He can have the face paint and everything. And, he is a bit older now. He's in his 50s now. So, yeah, I do think we need to give this a little bit of a gimmick to it, even though these guys, could have a great match in their sleep. So we're going to go big here at Crown Jewel. We're going to do this a buried alive match between Chris Jericho and The Undertaker. No DQ, no count out, no rules. So they can have all the gimmicks they need. Yeah. And then finally one of them's going to be buried alive. Undertaker and Chris Jericho, but it's the AEW version of Chris Jericho, not Y2J, no list. No scarves, nothing like that. We're talking the AEW Chris Jericho, the grizzled old vet against Undertaker. Man, I just think that could be some really cool promos and really cool storytelling between those two guys.
Yeah, and I love that you had that. I hoped you had, because I have him written down, but I don't have him on my list. He's not my Survivor Series opponent, but I'm glad you brought that, because it was very difficult not to put Chris Jericho on my list. Because, we never got that one-on-one pay-per-view match they should have had. It doesn't make any sense. The same company for 10 years or 15 years, whatever it was, and never had that. So, yeah, that's crazy. I would love that. The promos themselves would be awesome. And I'm glad you gave it a gimmick, too, because, like you're right, they might need that, and they can do a lot of fun stuff. We know Jericho can do fun stuff with gimmicks.
That's what he's done in AEW. Yeah, for sure.
Great. So
did a match with orange juice.
He did. Yeah.
Or Mimosa Madness, or whatever it was.
I don't even know. So, yeah. And they could bring up how they were supposed to wrestle in Saudi.
Yeah,
it'd be fun.
There's so much you could do there. Yeah.
Definitely. Oh, yeah. I love that. Well, finishing off 2023 with the Survivor Series.
Let's do it.
This is the one, and I wonder if this is yours too. But anyway, this is the guy.
I guarantee you it's not.
Okay. All right.
100%.
Well, this one was the first guy who I was like, this has to be it. He's got to be on this list. Just because. And this is Darby Allin.
Okay.
Darby Allin at the Survivor Series, where Taker started. This could be where Taker ends permanently. I don't know. But Darby Allin, think about it. He's like a little Jeff Hardy. Jeff and Taker, whether it was a regular match or obviously their ladder match, phenomenal together. Just great chemistry. Darby can just take a beating like nobody and just keep getting up, because he's insane. Like, he's certifiably insane. And he'll jump off anything. But to give this match what it really needs, put over top, this is a casket match.
It's got to be.
Got to be. Darby's bringing his casket. Taker's bringing his. You do the coffin drop, go through it, whatever. Oh, yeah, dueling caskets. So, I think that'd be really cool, and I think what a great way to end Taker's Forbidden Door year than to give this little guy the win. Like, I haven't cared about who wins all these, but this one I'm going to say, give Darby the win. He puts Taker in a casket, and that's the end of Taker's career. Darby Allin gets to close it off. What a rub for Darby, and what a fitting way to bury Taker at the place he debuted in his signature match. So,
and you already had Taker against Sting at WrestleMania, so you got that connection
exactly.
there. Sting's been Darby Allin's mentor throughout that AEW
run.
Maybe
Taker beat Sting at Mania, and this is Darby wants to come come up and say, I want to be the one to end you. Since you ended Sting, I want to be the one to end you. Doesn't have to be a heel, just matter of fact.
Right. Yeah. Man, that makes perfect sense. The Darby has carried on that casket match legacy in AEW, so I think that's a perfect fitting ending, full circle there for your Forbidden Door year. I said 100%.
Well, I'm interested. You said
you don't have
not the same one. So.
I guess I was like 25% wrong because I have a multi-man match here for the Survivor Series.
Okay.
It is Survivor Series, so I wanted to keep a little classic Survivor Series in here.
Ooh, nice.
But it's not totally classic Survivor Series, so it's a 6-man tag.
Okay.
I thought about making it 8-man or 10-man, but I like the 6-man. I think adding other people would muddy it up a little bit.
So is it regular 6-man or elimination Survivor Series rules?
It's elimination.
Okay.
And there's another stipulation I'm going to get to in a minute once I explain everybody who's in it here.
All right.
So we're going out with a bang. Survivor Series. This could be the end of The Undertaker's career. Full circle. Debuted Survivor Series 1990. Survivor Series 2023. This could be it right here. So Undertaker's going to team up with his brother Kane. And, well, let me tell you their opponents first. So we've got a man you mentioned earlier. We've got Sting on one side of the ring.
Okay.
Of course, he's going to have Darby Allin as his partner as well. And they're going to be joined by a person who I think is just a crime that we never got him in the ring against The Undertaker. A Japanese legend and somebody who recently showed up on AEW to join up with Sting and Darby Allin, the Great Muta.
Nice.
Teaming up
I love that.
those 3 guys. And they're going to be facing off against Undertaker. Of course, he's going to his brother Kane there with him. So Sting and Muta, the legends. Undertaker and Kane, the legends. You got Darby Allin, the youngster there, the next generation. Who are Undertaker and Kane going to go to for the next generation on their team? They're going to go with the Sundertaker. Bray Wyatt. They're going to bring Bray Wyatt into the fold, the darkness of Bray Wyatt. 6-man elimination, and we're just going to throw it all out the window. This is going to be an elimination casket match as well. So we have 6 caskets out there, no holes barred, everything, just all the gimmicks out there.
Elimination casket.
Elimination casket match. I don't even know how that works. We'll figure it out. We'll call it in the ring.
So we both had casket, both had Darby, but yours was wild.
That's a little bit different.
Wild. Yeah, that's wild.
And it is a passing of the torch thing too, because I want similarly. I don't know who wins, but I'd like Bray and Darby kind of there at the end, for the next generation of these sort of dark, mysterious gimmicks to go on there. And I'd love to have Taker have that interaction with Darby, along with Sting and Muta, who. Maybe they couldn't really carry a full one-on-one match at this point in time, but a 6-man tag with some gimmicks, with the casket, chairs, ladder, blood, whatever you want to do, tables. I think you could make this work. And so I'm going out with a bang. I'm blowing up the Forbidden Door with a 6-man elimination casket match. Brothers of Destruction and Bray Wyatt against Sting, Darby Allin, and Great Muta.
Is the casket 6 deep or 3 deep?
No, it's just a ring surrounded by caskets.
A ring of casket match. I love it. I love that, man. That's a great idea. It's a great idea. That's phenomenal. What a way to go out with a bang. So.
I told you didn't have that one.
No, you were right. I didn't. But you had multi-man. I thought about multi-man matches, and I just chose to stick with the singles. Just highlight Taker. But I do love that. That lets him not. Let's bring other people into the fold, and he doesn't have to carry so much himself. So I like that. That's fun.
Yeah,
so,
yeah.
Good time.
Oh, wow, that was a blast.
Yeah. Who are some guys that you kind of wanted to put or couldn't fit in or had on your list that you maybe struggled putting on there or taking off?
You wanted to do 5 matches here, so it was tough to kind of narrow that down.
Yeah.
You mentioned a few. Okada was certainly near the top of my list. It just didn't make the cut for me. Man, this may sound silly, and you may disagree because I think he's a particular taste. Some people don't quite like him, but I just think and I didn't put it because I don't know if I want to see it on pay-per-view. This might be like a SmackDown match or something. I'd love to see Undertaker and Orange Cassidy in the ring. I'd love to see him no-sell the Undertaker and see how the Undertaker would react to that. Like I said, don't know if it quite makes my top 5 pay-per-view, but man, you talk about like a 5-minute TV match. I would kill to see that.
Now, if we're gonna do that old podcast and be like, let's go Biker Taker versus Orange.
Oh,
yeah, that
for sure.
Fun.
Would be fun.
But yeah, I thought about him too. But I was like, man, Taker's got 5 matches left. I can't waste one on Orange Cassidy.
Exactly.
I agree.
Same deal with like Danhausen. Like that could be a fun TV match.
I can't with that guy. Sorry, I can't get on the Danhausen train.
Legitimately though, some AEW guys, Hangman. I think much like you said, like a Bret Hart match or something like that. I think him against Undertaker would be pretty sick. Would really elevate Hangman. Wardlow, same way. Eddie Kingston and Undertaker just having a brawl.
Just the promo.
Yeah, seriously. Just for the promos alone. And then something with the Death Triangle with Pac and Penta and
see your 6-man at the end there.
Basically the same thing, but with those guys it would be really fun too.
Yeah.
What
That's
about
cool,
you?
man.
What about who didn't make the cut for you?
Only 2 that didn't really make the cut. Well, 3. I love Adam Cole, and I don't know if he's gonna get. I don't know what his injuries are or whatever, but then I got to thinking, I can't. He's just so small. And I know Darby's smaller,
True.
But that's a gimmick match and there's the built-in story there from the casket and stuff. But I couldn't justify how am I going to be like Adam Cole, But I just would love Adam Cole to get in the ring with Taker because he's a smaller Shawn Michaels. I love Adam Cole. But anyway, I scratched him off. And then the man who is just Mr. AEW, that's not Jericho, is Moxley. Dude, Moxley is great. I want to see this version of Mox because Mox it'd be like Taker and Austin, It's just Mox is a brawler now, and he can wrestle like a ringmaster type Austin can. But Mox has got his character honed in. It'd be fun. It'd be great to see him and Taker. But again, I just was like, well, I don't know. Didn't want to put it up there, spin because because also sometimes Mox doesn't shine in those big matches like that. He does more now, but. I don't know about WWE, but it's just him and Brock was
right.
I don't know what that was, and I love that he was champion in 2016, but his title run didn't do much. It's something about him in WWE. But again, this would be AEW Mox, but he's great.
That's one I thought you were gonna have on there. I think that Brian Danielson spot I thought was gonna be Mox. So for sure. I'd like to see that.
And then one more is just because I love this guy. And he's recently returned to Impact Wrestling. And he is one of my favorites ever on the planet. And that's Rhino.
I thought you were going to say Tommy Dreamer.
No. But Bully Ray, Tommy, and Rhino all came back in the same night.
They did.
No last favorite. Yeah, and so I had Rhino.
Did the fist bump with Johnny Swinger?
Yeah.
That's great.
They were like, I think he used to work there. But I just love Rhino. But then I was like, man, I can't waste Taker's last year on a Rhino, man.
Hey,
but
it's your list.
I love Rhino. I love him. So I think that
he looks the same.
He's
a little thicker,
he looks
but
the same. But again, we've talked endlessly about Rhino on here. I love him, and I think that it's a crime that in 2001 we didn't get a program between them. 2001 or 2, just dead. I mean, they were in the Invasion match together, yes, and they did some stuff, but Rhino should have been more of a main eventer during the Invasion, but he wasn't. But anyway, so that's my boy Rhino.
I like it.
We'll end there.
You could have done if we had some TV matches. I think a Taker Rhino TV main event. Absolutely. Yeah, why not?
Yeah.
I also contemplated, just for the spectacle of it, I'm not a huge fan, but just the spectacle alone, Taker and Nick Gage putting them on a pay-per-view. It's not my jam, but he certainly has made a path for himself in the wrestling world, and I don't think him and Undertaker would quite click, but it's somebody that ran through my mind.
It would be, if that guy could get his crap together and do the right thing, I think it would be fun, but I wouldn't. Here's my take on that guy. I don't know. When I saw him on AEW, I'd seen some stuff in CW. When he actually got on the bright lights of AEW, to me, he fumbled the ball, man. He just, as soon as he walked out, I was like, oh, he fumbled
Yeah.
immediately. And I was
Yeah.
just like, dang, dude. I was hoping. I don't mean that in a negative way. I was hoping better for him because I think he's got a great following. But I was like, dude, he fumbled as soon as he walked out the curtain. And so anyway, but he could learn a thing or two from Taker. But yeah, it'll be fun.
And then one I forgot to write down, but I did look at him when I was looking through the rosters of these companies, and he just is not. Lance Archer. Like, I think I really enjoy that guy, and I think his character would match up well with Taker, but he's just like so dead in AEW right now. Like, he had a time where he was like a top guy. It was Jake the Snake. That would be even cooler.
The promos with that would be cool.
Yeah.
Well, when you said murder grandpa, you said murder. I was like, he's going murder hog. All right.
Yeah.
But you said grandpa. I was like, oh, even better.
I did think about
him
it, but
Lance.
he's just like, he's not there, as far as TV time and credibility. It just wouldn't work, but could be a cool match.
Yeah, we're trying to sell some tickets to these shows too.
That's true. That's true.
No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, that's fun, man.
Man,
fun Forbidden Door.
Great
more fun
idea.
Been, in my opinion.
Thank you for bringing that to us, Travis.
Yeah, I
very,
don't bring
very
a lot of
cool.
ideas, but that one's pretty fun.
You bring plenty to the table. Wouldn't be a podcast without you, my man.
I mean, the ideas for shows.
We did get a couple of fan responses here on Twitter. I wanted to read those off because it does match up a bit with us. And we may have gotten some more since then, but the ones we have now, we got Drew Carfrey, friend of the show, said both in their prime, Darby Allin would be fire emoji. So he agreed with us. That's a guy that we both had there at the end. And then Don Hyman, who hadn't heard from him in a while, but he said would love to see Taker MJF. So that was on my list. And then Mike Prue from the Bottom Line Wrestling Cast. He gave us a 5-match series here.
Ooh.
Some good stuff on here, too. He said ROH versus Claudio, which something I contemplated. I mean, that would be an incredible match.
Wow, I think of Claudio. Golly, yeah.
That's a good one.
Yeah. Shoot.
You need to go back and edit.
No, I'm happy with my 5, but that would be good.
New Japan versus Tomohiro Ishii, who another one I looked at, but
bulldog.
I'm not as familiar with him, so I couldn't quite go with him. NJPW versus Hiroshi Tanahashi, NJPW versus Okada, which you mentioned, and then AEW versus MJF, which I mentioned as well.
Yeah.
So a little bit of crossover there, but we would certainly love to hear more of what this sparked from you. Tell us whose year you liked better. Did you like Travis's fantasy year, or did you like my fantasy year? It won't hurt our feelings, but we may brag about it on the next month's episode if we hear from you. But seriously, drop your 5 fantasy matches. Now that you know the rules, the parameters of what's going on here, drop your fantasy 5 in the comments here on Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram, on our YouTube channel if you're watching us on YouTube as well. And thanks everybody for listening. Let's do some shout outs and some plugs and all of that we like to do here. Let me shout out Collecting Dead Man, Steven Zeman. First of all, he sent me some gifts in the mail, some figures in the mail.
Nice.
I was surprised. This Undertaker figure is one of them, so appreciate that, nice. Steven. And then I went on his podcast along with Randy Turco to do a triple threat watch along of some of the spookiest, as in worst, Undertaker gimmick matches for Halloween. So that should be out by the time you're listening to this. So
awesome.
Go check that out. That was fun to do that with those guys. And I want to shout out again the Bottom Line Cast. Of course, they are continuing on through Stone Cold Steve Austin, his career, Stunning Steve Austin. They're doing a series through that. I've been really enjoying those episodes. And especially want to shout out Mike. I don't think I mentioned this on the last episode. I think we'd already recorded, but Mike sent me just some random gifts in the mail. Sent me a Stone Cold Steve Austin figure and the Dudley Boys figures for my Undertaker Opponents collection. So did an unboxing of that. Exactly. Did an unboxing of that on the YouTube channel. I mean, Mike's awesome. He just sends random gifts. This is a guy, you and I, would we have ever met or been friends with this guy outside of this podcast? No, but like, he's just the nicest guy, coolest guy. I feel like in real life we would totally be friends and be hanging out if we weren't across the in different parts of the country from each other. But still hoping to meet up one day with him, with Randy, with Steven, and all you other great friends of the pie. That would be awesome if there's ever any way to do that. But go check them out, of course. We got another new friend of the podcast, man. Coco Beware on Twitter, man. Give Coco Beware a follow. The Birdman. Birdman. Yeah, man. He interacted with us on Twitter a little bit. He's new to the Twitter game, so give him a follow.
When Birdman was on Space Coast Coast to Coast, it was just the best. Space Coast Coast to Coast was so fun.
Classic.
It's so good.
Didn't appreciate it enough at its time, man. But man, it's so good.
Love it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then we heard from an old friend of the pod, Travis. We got a Facebook message.
Like an elderly friend, or like a friend from your.
I'm gonna say a friend from your.
Okay.
Gino McMannequin.
Gino.
Yeah.
What's up, dude?
He said he'd been binging the podcast and had finally caught up to everything. So appreciate that, my man. And look, I say it often on here. I think our podcast is it holds up, man. It's not like a lot of wrestling podcasts. You're not going to go back and listen to some wrestling podcast recapping Raw from, June of 2018. But you can go back to our podcast. You can pick and choose, your favorite Undertaker matches and pay-per-views. If you're going through stuff on the network, watching a random pay-per-view, you can go relive our podcast talking about it. It's so awesome to hear about people who binge it and go through the whole series, even after,
awesome.
when we finished all those episodes, over a year ago now. So that's really, really cool. It means a lot to hear that. And that's why we've been putting up some older episodes, bringing them back from the dead, if you will, bumping them to the top of our podcast feed, just to remind you all out there and encourage you to check out some of the older episodes. So we put up the first ever Buried Alive match. So it's right up there at the top of our podcast feed now. It's nothing new. I did a quick little intro for it, but it's just the original episode you and I did all the way back in 2018. Covering that match from 1996, and you can just hear how far the podcast has come and relive some of the early days of it. So I think we're going to continue doing that, continue to put some of that older content there, since we've only got one new episode a month coming out. So be on the lookout for that. Make sure you're subscribed wherever you listen to our podcasts. And all the usual stuff. Subscribe, leave a rating, head over to tpublic.com, get you a half decade of destruction shirt to wear to the Dead Man show or a meet and greet with the Undertaker.
Yeah.
Post a picture of you and the Undertaker in any Talking Taker shirt, and we will spin you a very, very special gift. You'll be part of an exclusive club. Pull our punk card and take us up on our challenge. And then next month, December, I've got an idea, but I think maybe we'll throw a poll up to the fans. We'll throw a couple ideas out there for the fans. So look out for that on social media for the December episode, and we will let you all out there decide. Should we do a watch along? Should we do another top 10? We did the top 10 entrances. Maybe we do top 10 rivals or something like that. Something random, another fantasy episode, Coliseum videos. We'll let you decide. We'll throw that up there here towards the middle of the month and let you decide what you want to see. Since it's the holiday season, the time for giving, we will give you the choice for what we do in December. And I think I hit everything. Travis, you got anything else?
No, I don't think so. I think you covered everything, man. So, yeah, if you were there at these Forbidden Door shows, oh, wait a minute. You can't be. Yeah, we want to hear from y'all, though. What are your Forbidden Door matches? Again, given the parameters we set out here, 2023 Undertaker versus whom? Do you want to put him in a Money in the Bank match at WrestleMania? Who would be the participants? You've never been in one. That'd be fun. That would be fun. Just throwing that out there.
All right.
So you get 5 or 6 other guys in there with him. So, but again, no, this is just Forbidden Door matches. So anyway, yeah, what are you guys thinking? And
put him in the Royal Rumble with 29 other AEW superstars.
Wow. Yeah. That now, good and well, Triple H are gonna go for that. Yeah. We'll give you guys the whole Royal Rumble. Yeah. But anyway, what was I gonna say? Oh yeah. Hope you had a great Halloween. If you dressed up as Taker,
Oh,
we want to see your pictures.
absolutely.
Please. If you dressed up as Undertaker, please tag us or something. We want to see because some of you guys are insane in a good way.
There's always some good ones every year.
Oh yeah,
We know.
you guys are insane. I love it. A couple of my coworkers at work are going to dress up. Girls are going to dress up like Hulk Hogan and Macho Man. So I might wear a Taker shirt that day too.
Yes.
So yeah, so we'll see. If that's the case, I'll let you guys know. But yeah, we hope you guys had a great Halloween. Have a happy Thanksgiving. We'll talk to you in December. It'll be December, dismember. No worries about that. Stay safe out there, and as always.